So, back to serious games. There are a lot of games. And still increasing, I guess. And the earliest one, maybe I should put games for health at the top, but largest one and the earliest one was the games for health. And it includes games for psychological therapy, cognitive training, physical rehabilitations, exercise weigh the pain. Maybe Rise Up could be the same kind of notion. And as well as extra games. Okay, games used as a form of exercise. And also, we see games like advert games. It refers to the use of games to advertise and promote a product, organization, or viewpoint. For example, America's Army is known to be one of the advert games. It was designed on a platform of PlayStation 2 game device to recruit people who become soldiers. So people would kind of understand what the life of a soldier would be in the American Army. And also, so this is, using a game device, PlayStation 2, put it in a good purpose. That's something that you kind of think on your, religion, culturally, but there's a purpose outside of just pure entertainment. And also edutainment and edu games, like I mentioned, Oregon Trail, Math Blasters, and a lot of areas here. Nintendo DS games. And also, there's another one called news games. Sometimes this kind of overlaps with advert games because you're not only sending out news, but there's an intention behind those news. When you put out the news, it's not just a fact that you're putting out. There's a fact, but there's an intention behind it. So sometimes this news games and advert games overlap. But for example, Darfur is dying, September 12. These are the games that kind of tries to change the society. And it has a editorial content, but still have some intentions behind it. And also training and simulation games. This is a very huge industry now. For example, to train your employee in a workforce. Now this is a big area of serious gaming, as well as Hazmat Hot Zone is a game that teaches, hazardous places for like rescuers and firefighters to go there, and how do you detain the hazard that you're facing. And you have to work in a team. But to kind of create an environment, safe environment where they can train is difficult. So they use game device and simulation technology to provide such a training. Another is persuasive games. Persuasive games, news games, advert games, sometimes they kind of overlap because there is some intention at the back. But these games influence players to take actions through gameplay. They are designed to change attitudes or behaviors of the users through persuasion. For example, maybe like Vicky-san, your research on HIV prevention, to have someone go to take medicine, you need to persuade. That's another area if you're using game devices, persuasive games areas. And also organizational dynamic, usually designed for the purpose of the furthering personal development and character building, particularly in addressing complex organizational situations such as managing change and innovation diffusion in a company, helping people in organization to introduce productive collaboration patterns, and managing difficult meeting situations. And this is another area that is close to training and simulation games, but it's a huge market also in the country like United States. So even in this PowerPoint, I think you notice 2 points. These categories or the types in a way overlap. And also, it's hard to define. You kind of have a vague category, but you don't have a concrete, precise differentiator. So, current understanding in the academic area of serious gaming is another one area of academic research is how do we best classify these new types of serious games that are coming. And history of classifying is very important to understand because this is where all the dynamic movement is still ongoing today. The oldest model was called the single criteria based classification system, where you classify serious games on market-based classification or either purpose-based classifications. Hey, it's for education. That's market-oriented. And purpose is to change people's behavior, to change people's perception about politics. These are the purposes, right? But of course, disadvantage. Purpose category seems heterogeneous, of course. Then comes what we call a multiple criteria based classification systems. And serious games taxonomy by Ben Sawyer and Smith that was announced in 2008 is one of the de facto category known today. It indexes serious games according to 2 criteria. One is market and purpose. And each purpose category comes with a subtaxonomy. It uses 49 categories plus many additional subcategories. So just to show you. Okay, the sector, government and NGO. Genre, games for health, advert games, training, education, science and research, production. And also, if you look at defense, games for health, rehab and wellness, advert games, recruitment and propaganda, these kind of, okay. It's a multiple classification idea. But still, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. This is the new model that we know today. Classification of both serious and game dimensions. The gameplay, is there a gameplay? How is it embedded into the games that you provide? And what's the purpose? What's the scope? And this is the newest one. For example, gameplay, which refers to the type of gameplay used. This aspect is intended to provide information about the game structure of the serious game, how it's played. You'll see that in later example. And also purpose. Purpose is the same from the single classification as well as multi-type classification. And also scope refers to the target applications of the title. This aspect suggests that actual use related to the serious game. And the advantage is that above 3 aspects can be used to build criteria suitable for the classification of any video game. So this is GPS model. Gameplay, purpose, and scope. Okay? Don't worry, you don't have to remember this. Let's try classifying this game under GPS model. It's called Stop Disasters game, okay? It's about natural disaster prevention, and it's released by the United Nations. And this game enables players to take control of several villages that are facing imminent disaster, such as tsunami, giant fire, or an earthquake. just jump into the GPS model, okay? Okay, let's look at the gameplay. Obviously, it's game-based. And the purpose, it's educative and informative. It's about message broadcasting. I didn't put in training, but it could be a mental training to have a trainee be ready for these kind of. And also, if you look at the scope, it's about the contingency. What happens after earthquake and tsunami? We might have an epidemic, so health scare. Also, you have to bring back the environment. It's about ecology and humanitarian support. So you can fit into GPS. And one advantage about this GPS model is that it's more descriptive. For the people who wants to know what this game is, to understand and better use it in an intention that was designed for. It's more descriptive. It gives more information. And also, this is another a game, Hazmat Zone, Hot Zone. As you can see, they're using computers, but it's a game. And these firefighters are using for simulating the rescue, many hazardous rescue environment. Let's classify this under GPS. Obviously, it's game-based, playing games using game environment. Purpose, educative and informative. It doesn't require physical training, but mental, maybe. And because it's played with people, multiplay, it has a data exchange aspect, and the scope is for the state and government and public professionals like firefighters. So again, GPS model is very descriptive. If you are a firefighter from your country and you're looking for a game, serious game that will help you, how do you find it? If the classification is more precise and more efficient, then a better chance of you meeting that software, right? So this is another example about the GPS model. So again, I want to just wrap up. This is today's index. I just erased my experience and recent works, but we looked through a global market of games. Two big change, the market size, it's growing, huge growing rate with more capacity because there are many emerging countries. And our consumers are millennials that think, what's your best known media for you? Games. Okay? And also, history, and also about global games market, there's a second big change, the notion, the perception of games. From, it damages your brain to you can solve everything. And history of games beyond entertainment, it was for pure entertainment to start understanding the mechanics and elements of the games, and people started to think to use that element and mechanics into a good use outside of games, so beyond entertainment. And now serious games and gamification. Serious games is using games. It doesn't have to be apps. Serious game has to be games. And in a good way. And gamification doesn't necessarily have to be apps or using off-the-shelf games, but using game mechanics and elements into good use. And the differences and similarities I've explained, and also the types of serious game and how to classify this. And the intention of classifying serious games is because if you are a creator of a certain game, then you want this to be used in the right way. Then better the descriptive it is. So my final message to you all is that area of serious games and gamification is still ongoing field of research where we find new ways of classification and type emerging. It is a dynamic area which holds many potential. Please take part in this exciting field because you can shape the future. Thank you.